Sometimes life goes a little off course. That's why you need a podcast host that can go a little off topic. This is the podcast that will give you straight talk about everything life throws at you. Welcome to another episode of Off Topic with Tom Powell. And here he is. This is Tom Powell.
You hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right, cool. Like I had to hit okay, the test is over. I had to hit the test is over button. Okay.
Sorry, I was not ready.
Oh no, you're fine. I felt bad because I was like, when I realized I had double booked the day, I was like, oh God, Tom's gonna be so mad. I'm gonna make him work late. So like if you were doing stuff already, I feel less bad.
No, if you need, we could move it to tomorrow if we needed to.
Oh well, we're here now, so it's good. Yeah, that was my next question. I'm like, am I allowed to do that?
Are you allowed to what?
I was gonna say, like, you just lit up. I was like, is it okay if I have my baby with me?
Oh, I don't give a shit.
There we go. I should have remembered who I was talking to.
How are you?
Good. Tired, but good. It's last quarter of the year for seniors, so they're a ton of fun right now.
How was your Easter?
It was good actually, because Saturday was my mom's birthday, so we kind of did like the double day. So I was kind of just with them all weekend, but it was nice. It was good. Yeah, it was nice.
No, I didn't mean to step over what you were just saying. I understand what you're saying about the last quarter of the year, and I've raised 3 of my 4 kids. I've seen my sixth graders phoning it in right now.
Oh yeah. It's bad. Like once those college acceptance letters come in the mail, right? Then they hit spring break, they come back and it's pulling teeth to get them to show up, honest to God. But it'll be fine. And meanwhile, I'm like the financial sector, like just tons of fucking fun, I'm like, let's do bank balance sheets.
and here I am. I'm like back into countdown mode because I'm like, what fucking day do I got to move my daughter out of her college dorm?
Oh shit. Yeah, that's right.
Because I'm going down to Houston at the beginning of May, and it's like everything's just overlapping, and we're getting into the silly season for me because May is just we got to go through April first, obviously, but May is just a horrendous month for us.
Yeah,
it's my birthday, Mother's Day, our 22-year-old's birthday. This year will be the 1-year anniversary of my sister-in-law's passing.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
It's all piled on top of one another. And it's our 20th wedding anniversary this year. So
oh wow. Sorry. Congratulations. That's a good one, right?
25th. My apologies. 25th.
I won't tell.
Yeah, well, she'll listen to the podcast and she'll be like, you can't even remember the fucking the anniversary dates. So before I ask you any questions about you and your life, let's go ahead and get the goddamn Christmas tree out of the way. For anybody that doesn't know, you have a perpetual Christmas tree. What gives?
I have a seasonal Christmas tree. Okay, like a few years, I guess when the pandemic hit is probably when it started. And it was just sort of like, if I have to be stuck in my house all of the time, I want to know that my house is like, I just want it to be happy in here, right? So I enjoy like how my house looks with a Christmas tree, like it's why everyone likes Christmas, that like really sweet lighting of a Christmas tree in your living room, like it's comforting to me. So I just decided, like, it's a pain in the ass to put it up and take it down every year, right? And I'm so happy with it up, I just left it up. But it's weird to have a Christmas tree up. So as like any teacher would, we decorate our doors and our classrooms, right, for the seasons. And I was like, why don't I just do that with the tree? So I change the tree up every season, and that is just my fun little thing. And I have people who copy me now, like friends in my life who have started doing it because it's whimsical.
So do you have like a full different set of ornaments for each holiday?
I have pillow, like, I swear to God. Okay, so this will probably surprise people about me, but my house looks like a fucking Better Homes and Gardens. Like, it is so perfectly, like, I have like throw pillows with each, like, my Christmas tree changes, but so do my throw pillows and my little like knickknacks and shit all over the house. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, sometimes I like walk into my house and I'm like, I don't know how I got this way, but I think it's because my parents are British. I think it's just in my blood. Like, everything has to be, you can't sit on the pillows, but they have to be fair and perfect.
You got that
My
Martha
grandmother
Stewart thing
was
going on.
Yeah, my grandmother would be so proud. I have cushions people can't sit on.
No, yeah, see. So like I did okay, so you had a grandma like that then.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was an old British lady who lived through the war, so she was pretty hard as nails. Like my granddad was worse. Like we couldn't complain about jack shit to my granddad because he would just respond with, "Did Hitler bomb your house?" No. He did not, granddad. I'll stop complaining. You're right.
So
There's
I
no
didn't
comeback. There's no coming back from that, you know?
right, exactly. It's like fuck it. But did you die? No, I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, nope. No, I did not.
So my grandmother on my father's side was a very strict housekeeper. Take your shoes off at the door. Nobody's allowed to wear shoes in the house. All of that stuff. But there was never a place that you couldn't sit, right? And then my grandmother on my mother's side lived with my aunt when I was growing up, and it was my aunt's house, and there was nowhere you couldn't sit there because there were two kids. But my aunt's mother-in-law was an old lady from Poland.
Yep, that'll do it.
She had a house in Bellwood. When you came through the front door, you had the sitting room in the front, and then the living room was in the basement. Okay. And the sitting room actually had the fucking theater room, and you couldn't go in it.
Funny.
And everything was covered in plastic.
See, that's where it is. Like, I grew up in Boca Raton, but like in the 80s and the 90s when it was still like super duper retirement center, like the tech came in and it got bigger and all of that. But like it was old Jewish people when I was growing up, right? So like I was friends with old people. I know it sounds really weird, but it was like Art and Mildred across the street, but she was like that, right? There was the plastic covers on the couch and like the perfectly placed dishes and the china cabinet with the china they don't use. It's a thing. And I didn't realize how much the old Boca ladies influenced me until I looked around my house at all my, little tchotchkes and pillow slips and throw pillows. And I went, well, I guess I'm an asshole. Look at me go. Don't sit on my couch.
That old Polish woman that I was telling you about, yeah. She collected these crystal figurines over the course of her life. And every time, we didn't know this until she got to the end of her life, but every time somebody gave her a different crystal, so my aunt and uncle, my aunt married her son, so they would give her crystal figurines every year for something. Yep. She would put a piece of tape on the bottom and write the name of the person who gave it to her. And then when she got into her 90s, she gave it all back. She goes, I want you all to have it back before. And my aunt was like, what the fuck am I going to do with 40 years of fucking crystal? She goes, I bought this for you. And she's like, yeah, but I'm going to die soon. She wasn't even sick, but she was like, I'm going to die soon and I want you to have it back. And so my aunt literally had to go out and buy 2 fucking curio cabinets. She was just bitching up a storm. I remember her just in her kitchen going, what the fuck am I going to do with 40 fucking years of fucking crystal?
I love that.
You're going to take it and you're going to fucking display it because your mother-in-law is still alive, goddammit. That's what you're going to fucking do.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Yeah, we did the same with my mom. She loved like snow babies. Those little like Hallmark store, like I don't know, ceramic glitter is the only way I know how to describe it. Just these stupid little figurines, right? And then she loves Eeyore. So like it makes shopping for her very simple, right? We get her a cute little snow baby. We get her a fucking Eeyore ornament or something, right? But like it's an absurd amount of like I saw it all like in the cabinet and she was like all upset. She's like, your dad made me box up all my things. I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. He's probably sick of looking at the snow babies. It's like 45 years of snow babies.
Ceramic Glitter was the name of my Boy George cover band. Anyway.
You had a Boy George cover band? That
no,
is
I didn't.
I was gonna say that's my favorite thing ever.
None of my cover bands are actually real.
Got it.
Never in any of them. Speaking of your parents, did they immigrate when they came to the United States? Did they immigrate to Florida, or did you guys move to Florida later on?
From Canada. My dad left Liverpool in the late 70s because of Margaret Thatcher, because fair. And he got a job. He worked in telecom, right? So it was it was BNR then, but it became Nortel, and he worked up there in Canada. And then he got a job offer with Siemens Stromberg Carlson, like not the medical one, but the telecommunications one that eventually bought like Nokia or something, I think. One of those phones. I don't know. He talked about phones a lot, and I tried to care. But there's only so much you can care about phones.
Right, exactly.
So like, but it turned out it was the internet. Like he kept talking about splitting phone lines and making all this stuff happen. And I'm like 9, and I'm like, oh, cool, Dad, that's great. And it like turns out like he goes to show me one day what it is, and it's like fucking FaceTime. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of neat. Like this, this is. I was like, oh, he was always calling it voice over IP, voice over IP. I'm like, oh, okay. So I just figured like whatever. This is what my dad was doing.
See, it was
So,
interesting. You just were a
yeah.
little shit.
I was just a little shit. Well, you know what? He made me watch Lawrence of Arabia when I was 9, so I got really good at not trusting him.
So he lived in Canada. What age were you when you guys moved to Florida?
Oh, I was only 3. Like that's when I say like I'm
Okay.
an American, like by all sets and standards. So that's why like I really understand like the like Hispanic kids who have lived here their whole life, and they're like this is all they know. This is all I know. Like I'm from Canada. I cannot name the 12 provinces. I don't know. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about their history except like beavers. I think there's a lot of beavers up there. I think they
One
like
would hope.
drink a lot. Yeah, like they drink a lot. And they too were terrible to their indigenous people. So I think I got it covered. But yeah, I consider myself British. Like that's the culture I grew. Like so my parents raised me. They were British. They weren't Canadian. They were just like parked there for a little bit, you know?
Right, yeah.
So it's the British influences that have like really like molded me. Like I'm a Scouser. Like that is what I consider myself.
Why Margaret Thatcher? What was? And listen, I understand the history of Margaret Thatcher, but for your family, what was it that just like was like they were like fuck it, and they pitched the front door into the ocean and started sailing toward the new world?
They lived in Liverpool, which was like where all of the industry had been. Like that's basically where the Industrial Revolution started, like was Liverpool and Manchester. And if you remember, like during both the world wars, all of those were nationalized industries. So they provided like good jobs and stuff, but they were working for the country. Like it was the national like merchants or whatever the fuck they were. I don't know. Again, I tried to listen. But she misprivatized. She was basically England's Ronald Reagan, right? So she was like privatize everything and whatever. And her policies, like she took milk away from school kids. Tom, she's a fucking monster. But like unemployment in Liverpool like was pushing close to 20%, right? Just because of all her policies, just it just devastated like the local economy. And I remember him telling the story. He's like, I can't raise my kids here, right? There's no opportunity here, I guess is what it was. And
what you see from Hispanic immigrants now.
Yeah, kind of exactly. And why he ended up in Canada, I guess I never really got that part of the story, except for maybe like the Americas were more into the telecommunications. But then he ended up working for a German company. So I don't know, which is funny because when he went to work for Siemens, because they're a German company, his dad said to him, they bombed our house because the bombing of his house was a theme.
Like, yeah, seems to feel some kind of way about it.
Seems to, like, yeah, I guess I get it.
He's really sore about that one.
The other one is, had Hitler not bombed my house, I'd have never met your Nan, right? Because they had to move into a new place. So I was like, great dad, I don't know how to take that one because like the other ones make sense. Like the other, he bombed my house references. So are you happy? Blink twice if you need help.
This was obviously not on my list of shit to talk about, but why do you suppose it is that when you get a Margaret Thatcher in another country, like England, people are like, fuck it, we're out of here. But when you get a Ronald Reagan here, nobody's ever fleeing here.
Because Americans are stupid. That's my best guess.
Yeah.
Because like, I guess my theory on it is, and I'll admittedly say this is going to be a very Eurocentric take, but fuck you, I'm a Brit. On behalf of the Empire, my deepest apologies. But like Britain, Europe in general, they have a lot of history, right? So they can look back and be like, oh, fuck, we've seen this shit before. I don't want to be here, right? Like my little obsession with King Charles right now is that every time England has a king named Charles, the fucking parliament and their government falls apart, and oftentimes they lose their heads. So here's hoping. But like,
what about King's named Donald?
I don't know that there's been a king named Donald. I'd have to dig.
Like if
so, it would. It would be in Poland if it happened, though. It would be my guess.
We need to look up any history of kings named Donald and whether or not they were drawn and quartered. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
So that's what I think. Like, they have enough kind of history in their worldview to be able to have seen this before. But America, Europe has wars older than the United States right now, right? And I think that gives us sort of an arrogance, like, oh, it couldn't happen here. Oh, it's not so bad. Oh, everything here is perfect, right? Like, I always call America the boy king of the world. Right? Like, geopolitically speaking, we are 17 years old and someone put us in charge, and that explains a lot, you know? So and when you're 17, you know everything, right? So no matter how stupid your choices are, you're going to double down on your stupid choices because you're a 17-year-old asshole, right? I spend a lot of time with 17-year-olds. You can probably tell from this. So that's what it is. America is the fourth quarter senior who already got accepted to college, who fuck you in your financial markets, right? That's who we are on the world stage.
And we're thinking with the wrong head because we're a 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, they are very stupid. Man.
They are. So speaking of seeing this before and our lack of history, something that we have seen before is an attack on intellectuals, an attack on intelligence, an attack on education, an attack on the written word. And you live in a state where that is prevalent.
Currently. Yeah, I do. That's fine. And we just had a really cool Supreme Court ruling today too. So we now have a 6-week abortion ban. Yay us. It's actually funny. Like, he took a lot of fucking heat for that book ban shit. So much so that he has quietly kind of rolled it back without anybody noticing because it was getting fucking ridiculous. Like, the law was written so broadly that and with such punitive provisions, you'd lose your teaching license forever and be thrown in jail if there's a book in your classroom you're not supposed to. So if that was the metric, what would you do with the books in your classroom? No books. Yeah. I don't earn enough money. I don't get paid enough for this shit. So no, there's no books. So an outrage, right? Schools were taking the dictionary out of their libraries because they didn't want somebody to be able to look up transgender, and they can't control what Merriam-Webster puts in there. So to not be, because if third graders can't read about that, then I can't have a dictionary in a third grade classroom because they could look up that word. And then we were freaking out. So he got so much heat about it, he had to issue somewhat of a signing statement, I guess is what it would be called, a memo to the school districts as to how to interpret the law, but officially done. So this is how you can do it. And that's the only way we could get books back. It was funny.
So when that whole thing went down, was that driven by an insane Republican governor's desire to kind of keep everybody stupid? Or was that what we were seeing on the news, which was it was driven by these misinformed, window-licking cousin fucking parents that kept storming the goddamn fucking school board meeting, pissing and moaning because they saw, a gay character in a fucking animated book somewhere?
Yes, it's both of those things. It's
so he was taking directive from the fucking inbreds?
I don't know that he was taking directive. One thing I'll give Ron DeSantis credit for is he's a smarmy little shit. So he knows how to exploit a situation. I have called him, and this is a good analogy, I think. You remember in school, there was that one fucker who nobody liked, but he was always around because his parents were never home and he always threw bitchin' parties. So we all hated him and we talked shit about him. And we copied his homework because he was really good in school too, but we didn't really like him. That's Ron DeSantis. Right? So he has no friends, he has no allies, but he's a hateful fucking asshole, right? So there's this group of hateful assholes running around all pissed off at something. So he's like, how about I be your champion? And he kind of go to and from there it kind of evolved. So he exploited stupid and overplayed his hand is my guess, because I think Florida's going to remind people that it's a swing state, and I think that's going to surprise a lot of people that don't live in Florida.
You really think Florida's a swing state? Really? See, I don't ever see Florida going blue in my lifetime.
We voted for Obama twice.
No, moving forward, they just seem to have steered into the crazy skid politically. And they seem to have mastered, in what I've seen from a distance, and you know way more about it than I do being there. They seem to have mastered manipulative marketing towards the Cuban immigrant population in southern Florida to keep predominantly reliably blue areas now predominantly reliably red, which just has a crippling effect on the state, in my opinion, politically speaking.
Yeah, and I can understand that. And the Cuban thing is like those of us who've been here for a long time saw that coming for a really long time, right? I'm kind of surprised it took as long as it did, truthfully. But like when you look at the Florida like election map, you see like it all goes for Republicans, right? Remember, it's very fucking gerrymandered. It's like painfully gerrymandered. Like Florida has been like controlled legislatively in the state house for 25 years by Republicans because Jeb Bush got in 1998, right? He rode the 2000 census, so they got to redraw the maps to heavily favor Republicans, and Democrats have never won since. It's not that Democrats aren't here, it's that the Democratic Party is not here. Like, we have no fucking organization as a party here, and it's like still pisses me off beyond belief that Nikki Fried's in charge of the fucking party, because what's she fucking done? It's fine. I have feelings. But like right now, Rick Scott is up. And remember, he was twice elected as governor, but everyone points to that. Like, the smartest thing Florida ever did was move their gubernatorial elections to the off year, right? Because historically low turnout. I love Rick Scott as an example. He was elected governor in 2010 with a 27% turnout in statewide, which means about 13.5% of the state decided he was the governor. And think about 10 people. Is one of them a fucking idiot? If that's the only guy voting, do you get Rick Scott as governor? And that's how it happens. Floridians are politically a lot more liberal than you'd probably think, but they're also a bunch of stoned fucking or like idiots on the beach surfing.
Okay, so then I have a vastly misinformed view of what Florida actually is. So,
don't get me wrong. There's the inbred fucking cousin fucking parts. So, like, don't get me wrong, they're there.
Well, but we outside from a very far distance outside, we see Florida as a combination of misinformed, uneducated hilljacks, driving around in blue 79 Monte Carlos with one maroon door and missing T-tops with a fucking graduation tassel hanging from the rear view mirror.
That is definitely a presence. That there is some of that.
And then a bunch of retirees that have gotten really salty in their own age and darn those fucking kids. And when you combine that, it doesn't matter how many coastal elites you have down in the Miami to us, down in like the Miami area. I mean, the retirees combined with the uneducated hicks and the people who own the timeshares in the Redneck Riviera, it would seem to me like they would dominate the state, much the way the Chicagoland area dominates Illinois, and people bitch about it to no fucking end.
Well, what people are probably failing to realize, because a lot of people still think of Orlando and just think, oh, Disney World, right? But it's a booming population center in the state. And I grew up in South Florida. I grew up in Palm Beach County, and the number of people I grew up with who now also live in Central Florida, like, because South Florida has gotten so expensive, like a lot of like middle class, like you can't, like I could not live in the town I grew up in. Like I couldn't afford to live where I grew up, because it's Boca fucking Raton, right? That's where I grew up. So a lot of people like slowly migrated up, like out of Boca into Delray, but then Delray got big and fancy, so into Lake Worth, so into Jupiter, right? And before you know it, they're in Central Florida. A lot of them went to UCF, some are at USF. So like the I-4 corridor is what you should really be paying attention to in Florida, because it's the swingiest region of the swingiest state. And this, I understand, like a lot of people don't think that we're a swing state anymore. And they're looking to the Ron DeSantis elections as like their evidence of that. But if you remember, he was elected in 2018 by like 0.3%, right? Like that election was so incredibly close. Like I think Andrew Gillum got like 49.3% and Ron DeSantis got like 49.6%. Like it was that fucking close of an election. In 2018,
is that the election where he did the commercial where he was teaching his kids how to build the wall and say Trump in the crib? Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That is the one. But then in 2020, he got reelected. But remember, that was sort of or not 2020, 2022. He got to ride his little COVID storm, right? And to give you an idea of how bad the Democratic Party is with providing, help for the Democratic Party, Charlie Crist ran for governor against Ron DeSantis in 2022. Charlie Crist, the now Democrat, former Republican governor of Florida. So we had Ron DeSantis and a former Republican. And that's not really going to motivate Democratic voters who were feeling the way you're kind of describing as you see Florida. Like when you see all of this bullshit going on, it's easy to kind of get beaten down and dejected. So like Florida did a big swing to the right, but it was also really low turnout on the Democratic side because like who cares? I don't like there was the sense of we've already been beaten. We can't beat Ron DeSantis, right? Coupled with, and I'm not going to do it for Charlie fucking Crist because Charlie Crist just happened to be the governor when the housing crisis blew up. And like you don't come back. Like if you were the governor of the state with the largest number of foreclosures in the Great Recession that destroyed the global economy, I don't see you getting reelected to governor of that state. So exactly. So like those were your choices. The guy that like led us into a foreclosure crisis, or the guy that let you stay at the beach during COVID. And Floridians are fickle people.
And I swore when I was looking at the map and I was looking at all of the races, I was like, this one's locked in, they're going to win their seat. This one's locked in, they're going to win their seat. This seat's going to flip. I was convinced Rubio was going to lose his fucking job.
Yeah, they should have. They abandoned Val Demings. They just kind of like, oh, good luck to you.
Right, and when I guess part of my thinking when it comes to Florida is, I looked at Val Demings as a fucking lock, and I understand they're listen, I come from a gerrymander state. The Democrats have gerrymandered the living fuck out of Illinois. It is ridiculous. Yeah, no, I know. But I am
good. Well done.
I am a full 45 minutes from the southwest border of the city of Chicago, yet I am in the same district as people who live along the lakefront, along Lakeshore Drive. It's gerrymandered to hell and back. But when we on the outside and people on the outside of Illinois, and they look in the same way on the opposite side, when we see that in the statewide races, you keep electing people like Rubio and DeSantis. We're like, God damn, that is a red fuck. Like Texas, everybody keeps telling me Texas is purple, Texas is going to go blue, and I'm like, listen, who's the guy? I'm drawing
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke, right? Yeah. Drives me fucking nuts. Beto O'Rourke is supposed to be the shining fucking star, and he couldn't take out two of the worst fucking politicians in American history, in Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott. Hang it up, Beto. It's not going to fucking happen. So when people tell me Texas is going to be blue, I always say, I'll believe it when Texas is blue on the map. This is interesting what you're telling me, because if what you're telling me is accurate, what you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, is that Orlando area should do to Florida what Atlanta has done to Georgia.
It's getting there, yeah. Like the only problem, or the only like caveat to that, is that Miami-Dade is still equally big. So it's like rivaling metropolises. So really kind of the tiebreakers are Tampa and Jacksonville. And Jacksonville is weird because like it's the city of Jacksonville is Duval County, and Duval County is the city of Jacksonville because they're fucking stupid. Who knows? It's Jacksonville. You don't like whatever. They're their own breed. But they just recently elected, like in a special election for some district, like a Democrat won that seat. Like there's polling coming out now, like Rick Scott is up for re-election, and I'm blanking on her name right now. It's Debbie something or other, but running against it, she's polling ahead and out fundraising him right now. So like the fundraising thing, I don't know if I can take as seriously, because Republicans are just all sending their money for Trump and his Bibles or some shit, which is going to be their detriment too, because if Donald Trump uses all their money for legal bills, then they won't have money to give to Rick Scott to run against who the fuck ever. And sure, he has his own money, but he's also a jackass and he won't use it, right? Because hubris is a thing. So I can't guarantee you it's going to go blue, but I wouldn't write it off just yet. If it goes red again, I say write us off. But I still think there's a little bit of hope for us, and especially now because the Supreme Court upheld their abortion ban, the 6-week abortion ban, but also upheld the amendment to the referendum for the ballot for November. So they just banned abortion at 6 weeks and gave us the right to vote on whether or not that stays in November. So I wouldn't write us off yet.
that's going to be an interesting vote to watch, because everywhere where those ballot initiatives on abortion come up, even in the red states, the people are like, listen, yeah, you don't get to fucking tell me what to do in my doctor's office. I'm sorry, you just don't. And I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised, to see the wave of people. I mean, we just had was it in Alabama? Democrats just flipped a state seat with a woman who was running on a pro-choice platform, and people are just sick and fucking tired of the limited government being in their doctor's office. Even the people that are like, listen, I would never get an abortion. It's not for me. It's not something I would ever consider. They look around like I look around and I see my daughters. Like I see my wife, but my wife and I are done having kids, right? It's my daughters. I look around and I see my daughters, my 2 granddaughters, and I'm like, if I could do one thing for my children, it would be pluck my daughter and my granddaughters out of the state of Indiana and move them here to Illinois. But yeah, so now you guys are the latest ones on the block with the abortion ban.
But it's not only that, like recreational marijuana and legalized abortion are both in referendums on the Florida ballot in 2024. So don't count us out yet. Because the Republicans and Ron DeSantis himself has come out like, I don't want recreational marijuana. It will ruin the state. Everybody else is a little bit like, well, too bad. So weed and abortions are on the ballot in Florida. And from what you know of Florida, are weed and abortions appealing to what your perception of Floridians is?
No. Well,
really?
the weed part, yes.
Yeah. Weed and abortion. No, those rednecks need to pay for abortions, trust me, because if their wife finds out they got another baby mama, we're going to run them over in the truck. Like, that's what I'm telling you. A lot of people love saying they're against abortion, but have had them.
Hands down. No doubt about it. I mean, you see it all the time. The people that are the loudest on the public stage that are anti-free choice wind up having paid for an abortion or wind up getting somebody pregnant and are in desperate need of abortion. Yeah, it's always what's good for me, not the attitude. The nice part about putting things like abortion and cannabis on a ballot is it brings out a lot of open-minded people to vote for those. And the hope is that they then look at the rest of the ballot and go, these fucking people got their head up their fucking asses. I'm not going with that.
That is the hope.
Who do you got that's going to be good in 24?
I don't know. And that's the thing. Like, we should know by now. By now, if a Democratic Party existed in Florida, I should be able to, without question, tell you who is running against Rick Scott. But I can't remember her name. And that's a problem. Like, I'm pretty clued into politics and I can't think of her name. That's how bad the Democratic Party in Florida is. And it's not that the voters aren't here. It's that there's nobody talking to the voters. And like, one thing I learned in college is like, Republicans fall in line and Democrats fall in love. And you'll win elections. There are a lot of Democratic voters, but they need to think they're doing something. They're not just it's my civic duty to go vote and I'm going to vote for Republicans because my granddaddy voted for Republicans. That's not Democrats. We need to be inspired. We need to feel like this is going to make change, right? That's why Obama, that's why Clinton, that's why they were successful. Arguably, it's why Hillary wasn't, because she's just like, move forward. That's not fucking like, that's not making me fall in love with you, you know? So like with Democrats, it always comes back to the same thing. It's fucking messaging every time.
Yeah.
Every single fucking time.
We suck at messaging. We are
so
the worst. Bad. We have the best ideas and the worst way of conveying our ideas. We have the best record, but we can never seem to show anybody the record. It was one of my big issues with Bernie Sanders when he would start talking and going on and on and on and on and on. It's like, dude, you're losing people. You're losing people. And here's the deal. You lost people that are simple-minded the minute you said that you yourself were a socialist, right? Because in their mind, that's just a bad word. That's evil. You're going to come take their shit. And when you hear, the problem is that like when you want something like, and I want to go back to your teaching here in a second, but when you want something like universal health care, unfortunately, you have to be honest with people and explain to them that, yeah, it does mean that your taxes are going to go up, but then they stop listening and they don't hear, but here's what you're not going to pay for. And you start rattling off all the shit that stops coming out of their check. You know, your Medicare, your Medicaid, your all of that shit, and your health insurance premiums. And every time you go to the doctor, the out-of-pocket portion of it. You know, I have a stepsister and stepbrother who live in Cambridge in the UK. And, you know, they were obviously raised here and they live there now. And they're like, the United States is a fucking joke when it comes to healthcare. It's an absolute fucking joke. And the messaging, whenever I'm able to have an honest to goodness one-on-one conversation, and I tell people, if we did it the way the UK did, here's what I want you to write down on the left side of the piece of paper: your Social Security withdrawal, your Medicare withdrawal, your Medicaid withdrawal, your everything that you pay for your health insurance premiums, everything you pay out of pocket, add all of that up. And then on the right side, give me what 10% of your fucking gross pay is, which one's smaller. And when they see the numbers, they're like, well, what do I get with this? Like, all your fucking health care and a national pension. All your fucking healthcare, and not just all your fucking healthcare and a national pension where you're at. If you come back and visit the States and you get sick, you're fucking covered here too.
And it's remarkable.
The goddamn messaging just fucking sucks.
Yeah, I know. That's how I always do it when I. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's how I always explain it to everybody too. I'm like, I don't start with your taxes are going up. I start with, this is what health insurance is costing you, right? What is your copay? They tell me. I'm like, what about a specialist, right? What about this, right? What's your deductible? The one you have to pay before any of these copays mean a piece of shit, right? What is that, right? Okay, are you on any medications? Okay, do you have to tell me what they are? About how much you spend a month on your medications? Okay, add up that. How many times do you have to go to the doctor for those medications? All right, add that up, right? Okay, what is your monthly premium that comes out of your paycheck? Oh, okay, let's add that up. All right. So, and it usually comes up to like 20% of their income. I'm like, all right, so 20% of your income is going to your health insurance, or I can take 6% more of your paycheck in taxes and let you go to college and the doctor for free forever.
Yeah.
I was like, so it'll save you 14% of your income and you're getting exponentially more. Not to mention, you don't ever have to talk to an insurance agent again.
And the messaging is so bad on our part and so good on their part that the Republicans have convinced these working class people and lower class people to continue to fight for the status quo. No, you need to fight with every last ounce of your energy to continue to get fucked in the ass when it comes to your health care.
Yeah, I know, it's funny. It's remarkable to me. Like I always say, like Republicans are amazing at selling you your death certificate, and Democrats have like a basket full of puppies and can't sell it, right? Like Democrats couldn't sell you exactly what you asked for, and Republicans could sell you your death. It's fucking unreal, and they do. And I don't know. I hate it here, I guess is the moral of the story, but that's
and see,
it.
that's the thing. That's the problem that when I promise you, we're going to get back to the teaching here in a second because I got some questions about it. Whenever I fight with people on the left, it's in some way, shape, or form, it ties into the fact that I don't hate it here. Goddamn it, I fucking love it here. I just hate some of the fucking morons that actually have a say in our goddamn process. I fucking love my country. I just wish it wasn't.
I'm in Florida, keep in mind.
Yeah, true. By the way, do you outside of the politics, do you like Florida?
I do. That's the thing. I joke that I hate it here, but I actually don't. I'm with you. I fucking love it here. I think Florida is beautiful. I even think the crazy is kind of charming in its own little way. You know, I don't like the traffic, but again, it kind of comes with the charm. You just know that somebody's going to die every day on the roads. Florida is just a little bit like, okay, I'll say this. I'm a Sagittarius. I have 6 Sagittarius placements, which means I'm a fucking lot. I belong in a state as crazy as Florida. Like Florida is the only place that I am normal, if that makes any sense. Like imagine me in Alabama.
No, good God, no.
The only place like close where you could probably drop me and I'd be okay is like Boston, right? Because I'm an asshole and I
do fine in Chicago.
I'd probably do fine in Chicago, except it's really cold and I don't like the wind. But like my brother was in the Navy and he was in like that's where he was, the Great Lakes, whatever, and woof, windy. But like I went to college in North Carolina and that was weird. And it's weird. And it still freaks people out because the early 2000s country music, I know all of it because I went to college in North Carolina, right? And people look at me funny when I start singing along to Toby Keith. I'm like, don't ask. It's just
where did you go? Where did you go to school?
East Carolina, in Greenville, North Carolina.
Okay.
Home of the Pirates. Arg.
I used to, back in the day, I spent some time hanging out in Boone and Blowing Rock.
Yeah, I know why.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a gentleman in Blowing Rock by the name of Bear that had anything you needed.
Yep. That's basically what that place is known for. Upstate
I
is
fucking I loved, and what was the name? You'll have to forgive me. I can't remember the name of the national forest that's right there along Boone and Blowing Rock.
I think it's just that
Tiski?
flat. Oh, something
No.
like that. Hold on.
Anyway, we had a blast
Yeah.
up in them woods.
Yep. It's a fun place. I loved, like, that's the thing. I loved North Carolina too, but I always a little bit felt out of place. You know what I mean? Like, I always was the Floridian in North Carolina. Um, I don't know. It's just Florida's.
I
I've
and
lived here
see
my whole life though.
when we were traveling, I got kicked out of Jacksonville for sleeping on the beach,
Yeah.
and we got kicked off the fucking beach, and we left Jacksonville. And at that point in time, we had a car and blew through a stoplight in Ocala.
Ooh, don't do that.
No, in Orlando. We went down to Orlando, blew through a stoplight in Orlando, got a ticket, and I was like, fuck this. And we wound up going through Ocala and spending some time at some natural springs. And then we were like, we need to just get the fuck out of this state. And we wound up we were heading to New Orleans, and we headed up into the Panhandle. And about 15 miles outside of Tallahassee, the transmission dropped.
Oh no!
And then we were just fucked. We were stuck in the Panhandle forever. But anyway, that's
I-10 too. Woof.
Oh yeah,
That road's terrible.
There were some fucking characters that picked us up when we were hitchhiking.
I'm sure. Ooh. Hitchhiking on I-10 in Florida, you were a brave man.
Well, we tried to hitchhike. We tried to hitchhike to New Orleans. We walked and walked and walked. We couldn't find anybody to pick us up. And then somebody was coming the other way, and they were like, well, we're going back this way. And we wound up going back to Tallahassee so that we could check on the car. It wasn't ready. And so that we headed north out of Florida to head back to Chicago. And I remember getting picked up by some college guys in a blue panel van with an empty trailer, 3 of them. And somewhere in, I want to say Georgia on the way north, was the middle of the night. And we were rolling through a Waffle House parking lot.
Oh yeah.
When I heard the pickup line of all pickup lines, when the driver of this panel van that we were in leaned out the window as we did the slow roll through the Waffle House parking lot and said to some woman, "Hey baby, you want to drink some beer and have some sex?" And I'm still shocked to this day that she didn't take him up on it, because I mean, what a line, what a line.
That is what I would expect at a Waffle House though, because the Waffle House, it's its own thing. Like, it's I don't know how to explain the Waffle House to you.
I know about Waffle House. It's an entity unto itself.
Yeah, like, you have to experience the Waffle House to understand the Waffle.
You got to let that all soak in. I know all about the weather warnings with Waffle House, and how the federal government actually does look to Waffle House to see how bad a natural disaster is. Oh yeah. Waffle House is
splattered, covered, and diced. Yep. No, I know.
Right?
Yep. You got to know how to order your hash browns. You got to know going in. Sometimes I get them capped too, which is mushrooms, right? Scattered, splattered, covered, diced, and capped. Boom.
See,
that is an
same way if
amazing
you're going to order. Same way if you're going to order a hot dog at the Wiener Circle in Chicago.
There you go. Know what you fucking want, right?
You can't go in there and look at the menu and go, that's it.
Can I have a chili dog? Yep. No.
All right.
I've only ever had a Chicago hot dog, like, once, like the true Chicago style, like with the pickle and everything on it. Like, it was good, but it was weird. I was like, feel like I'm eating a salad with a hot dog in it. And I don't hate it, but it's weird. And that's what it felt like.
See, I don't like the Chicago dog. They call it another term for a Chicago dog is called dragging it through the garden. And
See, that's what it is.
Yeah. So if you don't want to say Chicago dog around here, that's the way people order it. They go, give me a dog, drag it to the garden. And yeah, it's a big ass fucking pickle, a big ass fucking tomato, some sport peppers, mustard, onions, relish, and some celery salt on a boiled hot dog in a steamed poppy seed bun. And it's just like, that's just too fucking much.
It's just too fucking much. I'm like, I like all of these things, but they don't belong together, right? Like, perhaps on the same plate, you can put a pickle spear next to my hot dog. I would enjoy a pickle coming with my hot dog. It does not need to be atop the hot dog.
Yes.
Also, the tomato should be smashed up into ketchup.
Yes.
Like,
and people
do it
in
right.
Chicago are very slavish about being anti-ketchup. And if you go to this other hot dog joint called Gene and Jude's, it's a Chicago land institution, as it's just outside the city of Chicago. I mean, literally, that's the only fucking thing they serve. Like, you can't get like a burger or a beef or a Polish
Just
sausage.
hot dogs.
It's hot dogs, fries, and tamales. And the fries go on top of the hot dog. You eat the whole thing, the fries on top of it, everything.
All right, that I don't hate. I could get on board with that. Like,
I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a picture of it. And if you're ever in Chicago, you got to go try it. I can't stand them.
I always thought, I forgot it was Chicago that was anti-ketchup. I don't know why I had it in my head that it was New York. Maybe it's both. But why are you guys anti-ketchup? I love ketchup.
Okay, so the ketchup snobs in Chicago are of the opinion that you should outgrow the flavor of ketchup by the time you're 7 or 8 years old. And only children and mental patients put ketchup on hot dogs.
Well, I'm a mental patient. I am medicated heavily. So fine. Ketchup is amazing. I love ketchup.
I self-medicate heavily, and I eat ketchup and relish on my hot dogs, and that's it.
Ketchup is amazing. And ketchup, like a meatloaf sandwich with ketchup. I'm sorry. No, like people don't understand.
Now I have to draw the line right there because ketchup doesn't go with meatloaf. A1 steak sauce does.
That's fair. I can do you one better because you can't really get it here, but it's the British version of A1 steak sauce. It's HP sauce. Fucking remarkable. I should send you a bottle because I will, because I might ruin brown sauces for you forever, but it's fucking amazing. It's got big...
have to start. I swear to God, if I get to the point where I have to start importing my condiments, I'm going to be pissed.
You're coming for me?
It's just so fucking expensive.
Maybe I won't send it to you then, because I don't want to get you mad at me.
Lily Ost. I don't know if you're friends with Lily Ost from Australia. Donnie Douche's wife.
Don't know. I'm bad at names. Like, I would know if I saw, but
she's a content creator from Australia, and she sent me a ton of Australian snacks, like little meat pockets and shit that she had packed in some dry ice and shipped it up here from Australia. It was phenomenal. But I'm off on a tangent. Teaching and okay. Obviously, being a teacher in the United States of America comes with its own risks.
Yes.
The whole school shooting thing.
Yeah.
Is there ever a point in your life, and I talk to a lot of different people that are blue and red states, is there ever a point in your life where being an outspoken, progressive, liberal teacher in a state like Florida has caused you to actually fear for your life? Like, if you've gotten threats, if people have been like, we're fucking coming for, because I mean, we get it all the time in blue states.
Really?
Oh yeah.
No, I have not. I have, and that's actually, it's funny that you ask that, because I joke about it all of the time, right? Like, it's kind of like a running joke in my classroom when kids say something inappropriate. I was like, please don't make me the lead story on the news tonight. Like, I don't have time to go to prison right now, right? Like, I don't, I'm busy. But I also, I could see maybe, I don't know. I mean, about the politics. I mean, I've had kids like not like me for it, but like never have I feared for my life. There was a kid a couple of years ago that was like, like,
I'm not talking about from kids. I'm talking about just from adults, like insane adults who are like, you're poisoning our kids, you're indoctrinating our kids.
Not really, but I'm also kind of a home, but like I go to certain places. Like, I just don't, I don't know. I guess because I'm a teacher, I'm not as outspoken in public as you'd probably think. Like, I don't walk around like with political paraphernalia on or anything. Like, I'll get into a conversation and I will never mute my opinion, right? Like, I will talk all day. But I think, like, you've kind of seen like videos, like, I can be a snarmy bitch. Like, I know how to, like, I can dismantle you to your soul and make you cry, but I also know how to be very diplomatic. And I think that's from being a teacher. So I think, like, when I meet those people and when I get into it with them, I kind of walk them slowly to where they think my idea is theirs, in a way that like makes that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm the conservative whisperer. I don't really know. So I've never really had that problem, but I do know maybe I am, because I have some like Trumpy little teenage boys that come into my classroom that are not as Trumpy when they leave. And it's not because I tell them to believe anything. It's just I explain things to them. Like, they ask me a question and I answer it. That's all I ever really do. I don't like persuade anyone in any way. I just very bluntly and directly answer a question. and leave it up to them to do. I do the teacher thing, like the Socratic, like present a point and leave it with a pondery thought. And that seems to trip up conservatives big time, right? When you leave them having to, like, you force a thought on them, they get a little shaken.
Oh, that's painful.
They don't know what to do with thoughts. Yeah, I know.
They don't like it. So none of the parents have ever they've not recognized you from TikTok or anything?
No, actually, like, not really. Like, honestly, most of my followers are like in Chicago and Houston for some reason. I don't really get a lot of like, there's a few, but some parents follow me on purpose and like the channel, and they'll like even say to me that, like, oh, I'm so glad you're here doing this. So no, I haven't. I've like, it's been my biggest fear that would happen, but I've never really, like, I've had a few moms like try to start it with me, but I just have really like, I don't know. I just like, my principal does it to me all the time. She's like, can you talk to this parent for me? I just good at talking to, maybe because I was such a shithead as a teenager. I talked myself out of so much trouble in my life that I'm just like, you know what? Watch these eggshells. I'm going to dance. Because that's kind of what I do. TikTok? I'm just really good at. When did I start doing TikTok?
No. What made you start doing TikToks?
The kids. It was during the pandemic, right? Everybody was online, whatever. And one of my students, because texted me over Zoom, actually, right? Because I was teaching, and she said, Miss Cannon, you should make TikTok videos. And I was like, why? Because this is like when I only just discovered TikTok, and I was like, nobody's gonna care what I have to say. I'm like a standard issue, like middle-aged white lady. Like, you don't even listen to me. Who's gonna listen to me on the internet, right? Like, I completely thought she was stupid. She's like, no, seriously, I'd watch your videos. I'm like, you'd watch my videos, but you won't listen to me in class. Like, it was this kind of exchange, right? So I made her a bet. I was like, all right, fine. I'll make a TikTok. I'll make one TikTok video. I'll put it up, and we'll see what happens from there. It's probably nobody's gonna see it, and that'll prove to you that I am not what TikTok is looking for. So I made one TikTok video and like got 30,000 views in like an hour and a half. And she's like stalking the video as it's up. She's like, see, Miss Cannon, see, Miss Cannon, see. I was like, ugh, because the deal I made her was, if it does well, I'll keep doing it. Fuck TikTok, right? Fuck TikTok, fucking TikTok.
Oh, don't act like you don't like it. Don't act like you don't like it. We all hate it and we all love it.
We all hate it. That's the best way of describing it. Like, do I love it and I hate it? Yes, I do. Yeah, that's a good way.
It's mind-numbingly painful in the manner it's run. You know, like I get accepted into the Beta Creator Fund, and then I get kicked out of the Beta Creator Fund 2 days later, and then I appeal it, and then a day later they either go, your appeal was rejected or your appeal was accepted. So I just got kicked out again. I appealed it. I got rejected on the appeal. And then they just sent me a warning saying, hey, your account is on the verge of losing Beta Creator Fund status. And oh, by the way, you earned $430 in the month of March. We're going to go ahead and send that to your account. I'm like, well, how the fuck did I do that? You kicked me out of the goddamn fund.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I always have like notifications on the app saying like, TikTok sent you a message. I close, like, no notifications. I'm like, I like, everyone's like freaking out about they're going to force China to sell TikTok. I'm kind of okay with it because we kind of know how it runs like in a different way, right? So I don't think it's a terrible idea to get somebody that knows how to run, you know, an app to run like the most popular one. It's an idea.
Why would we want? No, we don't want a career social media person.
Right? Like, no, just like, let's see how it goes. But it's the same thing, right? Like, I get in TikTok jail all the time. Like, people say like, you have disappeared from my For You page. I'm like, I know, I don't know what I did. I just over here. And then every now and again, I'll just blow up for like a week and a half and then like cast into the shadows again. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even care. There's no rhyme or reason to it anymore, you know?
How's the podcast doing?
Okay, yeah, but we just recorded before this with Coach D Speaks. If you know who he is, he writes for Midas. He does that stuff. It's a cool dude. So yeah, we've had some growing pains, like with anything, right? Growing pains. So we've gone through a couple of co-hosts, but turns out like the magic recipe was just me and Troy, right? So yeah, it's good though. Apparently I'm the fan favorite, which I find weird. Never expected that to happen. Again, a life of like teenagers sleeping through me talking did not prepare me for people liking me. So it's a lot to get used to, but you know, it's fine.
How's the growth?
But sorry. I don't really know Troy. Like, I check in every now and again. Kind of Troy handles that because I am bad at that kind of stuff. Like I'll freak myself out and I'll get like in my head about it if I don't think we're doing well, right? So Troy just kind of keeps track of it and he kind of lets me know when we're doing well. And that seems to work because I'm a neurotic fuckhead and I'll own that.
You're not a neurotic fuckhead. You're just you remind me a lot of my 19-year-old, soon to be 20-year-old daughter. My daughter, who's a freshman at UIC.
Yeah, 20 years old again, everyone.
She's just wired differently. That's just she's the one that read 4 books at one time. She's the one that taught herself how to sign language by checking out books at the library and looking up YouTube videos. She's the one that took Mandarin Chinese at her STEM boarding high school. You know, she's just wired different. Mm-hmm. And now she's off at college and she's at UIC, and you can see that, like, some people go out into the world and they change this way or that way, right? So oh, you know what? I didn't realize that, you really do need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get yourself a job if you want to pay your goddamn bills. You go out in the world and you realize that nothing is handed to you. And then you see your daughter go out into college, and it's not going out into the world. She's going to college, but she's out on her own. She's living on campus. She's gone out into the world, and she gets more progressive, and she gets more left, and she gets more loud, and she's posting more. Every day we're getting 6 and 7 Instagram posts about what's happening in the Middle East, and then and I'm like, oh, she went to college and just fucking leaned into that skid.
That's what happened to me too. Like at her age was George W. Bush's America. I was 19 years old when the Twin Towers fell, and I was in college. So I just picked up all the political science books. I just picked up all the history books. I was like, I'm going to understand this. And boy, did I fucking learn shit, Tom. Right? The same way, right? I don't know how to explain my brain to people. It's just wired different is the best way I can put it, because like everyone, like the videos I make where everyone's like, I would have never thought to put those two things together, right? Like when I make a connection to something and I'm like, really? Because that's literally the first place my brain went. And it's like when I was a kid, I was always really insecure about that because everybody else would stumble upon like the same answer. And I'd be over here with this, like, I thought it was something different. So it makes you feel weird when you're a kid, right? But when I got to college, like that was validated. That was like, that is an interesting perspective. And that fucking changed my whole world. Like once you encouraged me to start learning things, fucking no stopping me.
Yeah. So. See, she got that a little bit early because, like I said, she went away to this boarding school where, you got to get yourself up. Nobody's there to do your laundry. Nobody's there to make your lunch. You got to get yourself up. You got to get yourself out to school. But she did it in the most fucked up time, because you don't get to go to this school when you're a freshman. You apply when you're a freshman, and you start, if you get accepted, you start when you're a sophomore. So she applied when she was a freshman. She got accepted, and she started as a sophomore, which was COVID. Yeah. So she did the end of her freshman year, from her bedroom, and she did her entire sophomore year from her bedroom. She did her entire first year of a boarding school without ever stepping foot on the campus. Yeah, and so then she got to go there the next 2 years and learn what it was like to live on your own. And then when she went off to college, it was like, well, shit, I've been doing that for 2 years. I haven't lived at home for 2 years. I know how to do my laundry. And the other girl, she lives in a suite with 8 girls. Right,
oh, that's 2 so doubles. Cute. She's like the mom.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, they all the first week, like she said, the first thing that caught her off guard was they all, everybody, they're trying to figure each other out that first couple of weeks. So they all went out to lunch, and when they came back, there were some workers in the suite because there was an electrical issue that they needed. So the door was propped open, and there were a couple of workers. And, Lily was at the back of the pack as they were heading to the door, and the girls saw the workers in there, like, well, what do we do? And Lily's like, what do you mean, what do we do? We pay for this fucking room. We go in. She's like, it's our fucking room. We go in and find out what the hell they're doing in our room and how long they're going to be. And then these 2 girls over here are like, how do we use the washing machine? We don't know how to work this. And Lily's like, get your shit and let's go.
These poor little ducks.
Yeah, exactly. So she already knew how to do a lot of that, so she adjusted really well. But it was like early on when it came, she went to Illinois Math and Science Academy, and it's a college prep school for like stupid smart kids. that they were just like, yeah, the classes was like, so what do you think about that? Let's powwow, let's rap about this, and like I said, she had a Mandarin Chinese class, and she had, I don't know what it was, international women's studies and fucking ancient Peruvian basket weaving and whatever the fuck it was. It wasn't just,
it has to
wasn't
be
a
niche,
normal
man.
high school. And she has just grown like exponentially. Compared to me, I dropped out at the end of my freshman year, beginning of my sophomore year of high school. It was like, fuck this, I'm out of here. Threw everything in a backpack and left and started hitchhiking across the world. Okay, so where can everybody find the podcast, and what are your future plans? What's next?
The podcast is anywhere you listen to them. It's called Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics. We just updated the picture, so it's got my fucking face on it now. So, that's me. Should be able to find it. And at Cannon's Fodder on TikTok, at Cannon's Fodder _IG on Instagram. Which it's like an embarrassing like disparity between my TikTok and my Instagram, because I forget about Instagram all the time. And Troy's like, for the podcast, you got to get on the Instagram. So I'm like, all right, I'll try. But it's like, I don't know. I just can't get into it. But yeah, in the future, I guess we're just hoping to I just grow the podcast, grow the thing. If I could just explain shit to people all day, that would make me the happiest person in the world. It's essentially what I do as a teacher, but I'm really sick of the teacher bullshit and the grading papers part. So if y'all want to help me out, I'd be a professional podcaster. That'd be fantastic. Or the Democratic Party should put me in charge. That would
you want to be the head of the DNC?
I mean, I don't want to be, but fucking somebody's got.
Well, listen, if you can manage to finagle that in the next few months, the Democratic National Convention is going to be in my backyard, and I'm struggling getting tickets. So how about you hook a brother up?
I do. Truthfully, of course I would, obviously, but every time the Democrats have a convention in Chicago, shit gets weird. So just,
oh yeah.
And there's a lot of 1968 energy to this, shit. And I swear to God, if we LBJ Joe Biden, I'm going to lose my fucking mind, because it's not going to be Nixon this time. It's fucking worse.
Okay.
A lot
so
worse.
couple of things. First of all, the last time we had a Democratic convention in Chicago was Bill Clinton. So we got a pretty good fucking recent history. Secondly,
That's fair.
Democratic convention in the 60s is the prime example that I try to point to people. Everybody's like, it's a liberal hellhole. It's a goddamn shithole. Yeah, you have no idea what those fucking Irish liberals in Chicago did. Daley unleashed the fucking dogs, man, and was beating fucking hippies' skulls in with goddamn police batons. You guys think it's some liberal fucking haven? Go try and act a fool in Chicago. You're going to come out somebody's bowel movement.
Yep. And then the same thing. And then the Nixon administration covered it up for him, right? Because the police started the riot at the Hay Street Market. Is that what it was? I think the Hay Street Market riot. And to anybody listening out there, you want a really good telling of this story, and a really, really fucking fantastically portrayed story. Honestly, it's the trial of the Chicago 7. It's on Netflix, I think, still. And Tom, if you haven't watched it, you have to. It's fucking phenomenal. But it's a really good perspective on why we should all perhaps calm our shit down. The conversation between Abby Hoffman and Bill Hayden right there, when they're right before the last day in court, that's the conversation I need us all to fucking have right the fuck now. Okay.
She pulls out Abby Hoffman at the end. Actually, here's how we're going to close it. Not only is Chicago not the liberal hellhole they think it is, not only will you get your skull bashed in for being a hippie that steps out of line in Chicago, but it goes the other way too. Keep in mind that in the 2016 run-up, Chicago was the only city to shut down a Trump rally. He never made it to the fucking podium. He never said a word on stage.
Good. Well done, sir. Well done. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much for coming on. I apprate it.
You are so welcome. This was a ton of fun. Yeah.
Say hi to Troy for me.
I will. We'll probably have to get you on soon, because we gotta talk. We're gonna talk Chicago convention, I think. So
okay,
if you're game, all right, that sounds fantastic.
Send me a text and we'll set it up.
Yeah, good. This will be fun. Campaign Cannon is so much fun. I tell you, man. Campaign Cannon is a different breed.
Right? Yeah. And that's the thing is, we're going to be making those kind of TikToks for the next 8 months.
I know. I haven't been on TikTok for a presidential election, because I kind of started doing it I guess I did. Yeah, never mind. It was in 2020, so never mind. I'm stupid.
I made 3 Christmas videos in December of 2020, and I didn't start making political content on TikTok until after January 6th.
Really? I gotta fucking remember. Like, I know it was December. I think it was probably December 2020 because I would have been 39. Yeah, so it would have been December 2020. So it was after the election. So this is our first presidential election. This is gonna be so much fun.
It's
oh
gonna,
my God.
it's gonna be, they're gonna, the trolls on here are gonna lose their mind.
Oh boy, I'm just gonna prep up my sassiness. Where's my granddad's spirited Hitler bomb your house? All right, good. I got it.
Maybe we could figure out something right before the election to where we could all do a podcast that we can all air on all of our various platforms, but we all come together in person to do it.
Ooh.
Me, you, Troy, a handful of other left-leaning creators that we know of that we're all mutuals with.
That could be fun. I like that. We'll see what we can do.
We'll work it out.
All right. Sounds good. All right, Tom.
Bye.
Bye.